The debate at 10.
Presented by Berger Easy Clean. Powered by Reva University, Quick Heal Secrite, Green Lamb Laminates, PolicyBazaar.com and Cucina. Co-powered by Mankind Pharma.
Welcome back, friends. It has been a path-breaking gender justice equalizer by the Modi government, leading from the front to introducing the Women's Reservation Bill in the first or special session for the new parliament building and getting it cleared. Having waited for 30 years, it's an occasion for every woman concerned about India's society and politics to rejoice and cheer, because now they have a stake. They have a stake and they have an opportunity. It's a momentous occasion indeed for the nation to have witnessed Lok Sabha debate and pass the Women's Reservation Bill. In fact, in the momentum that was building towards this special session, the first up communication on this subject was by BRS leader K. Kavita. I don't know whether she believes that in many ways, Chavan, she got the ball rolling, but you spoke to her just a while back. What's your sense?
Well, in fact, K. Kavita started this back in the month of January, and there was a crescendo in the month of March when there was a hunger strike. In fact, what's important to point out here is not just one political leader, and I would say that it's not about multiple political parties which are now trying to take claim of this big win, but there are several women leaders, activists who have played their role in highlighting what many would say that finally India is now paying respect and the rightful place of India's daughters in the hallowed hall of the new parliament. It's an arduous journey, as Abhishek was pointing out, but finally we see this coming in full glory. In fact, we spoke to BRS leader K. Kavita a short while back. She takes a pot shot at the Congress party to saying that they have no right for claiming that it was they who brought in the bill. It's a momentous occasion for India as the Women's Reservation Bill has been introduced in the Parliament, and more importantly, it's almost a 27-year-old battle that we have been witnessing all this while. In fact, earlier this year, among the many parties, it was the BRS led by K. Kavita who raised the entire chorus of Women's Reservation Bill. In fact, it was K. Kavita who sat on a hunger strike demanding that the Women's Reservation Bill should be introduced into the Parliament. In fact, she also got the support of various opposition parties. Notably, the Congress stood out during the hunger strike, but K. Kavita continued with her fight. She's joining us on this special broadcast. K. Kavita, thank you very much for speaking to Republic TV. Last, when we spoke here in the national capital, you were confident that this is going to come. You were hoping that all political parties would rise above their political concerns and support the Women's Reservation Bill. It's been introduced in the Parliament. It comes with a certain caveat. Let me straight away dive into the issues that have been raised by a lot of political parties. One, linking it with delimitation and the census. Today, the government has made it very clear, starting from Union Home Minister Amit Shah, Union Minister Smriti Irani, both are essentially talking about Article 82 of the Constitution. Ms. K. Kavita, are you satisfied with the response that has been given by the centre with regards to why exactly delimitation is important, and only after that Women's Reservation Bill can be, perhaps the law can be enacted?
Thank you, Shravanji, for having me on Republic, and thank you for your continuous support to the women's issue. During the Delhi Dharna and the hunger strike and subsequent events also, Republic has been supportive in raising this issue. So I thank you on behalf of Indian women. As you rightly said, there are multiple issues in this women's reservation bill. One being the government not coming forward to implement it right away. It is very much possible, although they are quoting Article 82, it is very much possible to implement it right away because this government umpteen number of times has utilized the 2011 census as the basic data because we do not have a 2021 census. So they've utilized it and taken up many programs. And essentially, it's not a complicated matter. See, what is census? It is ultimately numbers. And with the today's technological advances that India has made, within a matter of 5 minutes or even a minute, any computer can tell you which constituencies have the highest number of women. Simple as that. Taking 2011 census as the baseline, if you calculate, you'll immediately get which 33% seats have more women as population, and then you can decide those as it's a very transparent process as well. So there is no rocket science involved like earlier delimitations. Now it's much more easier with the computers, backing us with the advancement in technology. It's much more easier. It is just that this government is not willing to give women an immediate chance. They're trying to take a political mileage and advantage by saying that we have introduced the women's reservation bill, but we will again deny them 5 more years of political participation. India as a nation for 75 years we have kept our women out of parliament and assemblies, and this government should not take another step like an eye wash or a lip service. We urge the government, there is still time, it is still possible that they can implement it right away.
In fact, it sounded like K. Kavita, the software engineer, not the K. Kavita parliamentarian or politician, essentially speaking. Because Ms. K. Kavita, the 42nd amendment essentially froze the delimitation exercise until the results of the first census after 2000 was published. So essentially, it hamstrings the entire process. That is the reason why the government is essentially insisting that you ought to do this, because otherwise you cannot go ahead with the reservation policy. You are talking about that this can be done using technology, but having said that, the delimitation process itself, it's a quasi process involving the people perhaps getting their opinion on this entire matter. So keeping all that in mind, perhaps it's going to be a far long drawn process.
Shavanji, want to really appreciate you reminding me, being a software engineer. Yes, when it comes to women, there should not be politics involved. There should be only practical solutions that should be given to give women chance at any cost. See, point here is this government has not been transparent from the beginning. In the introduction of the bill, during the introduction of the bill, they have not taken anybody into confidence. Now if they come back preaching us, saying the census has to be done. So let me straightforward ask this government one question. 2021 we were supposed to do the census. Yes, COVID was there. What have you done in 2022? What have you done in 2023? Did we not work on Chandrayaan? Did we not work on many advanced projects? Why could we not do the census? It is a fault of the government. It is a fault of the government. They cannot now come back and say that just because we could not do the census, women will be denied 5 more years. Now until national capital we raised the issue, and in fact the strategy that BRS as a party and me as an individual followed was we specifically invited the parties which stopped the bill earlier because of the OBC issue. We requested RJD, we requested Samajwadi Party. They did send their representatives, and they also told their objections that without OBC we cannot agree, which we will and we should respect. And in fact our demand as BRS is also that OBC should be given their due share. In fact our Honorable Chief Minister 10 years back had written, we resolved in our, we passed resolutions in our assembly for 33% BC quota, OBC quota overall in the parliament, which will automatically reflect in the women reservation bill as well. So this government is not even talking about it. Census, forget census, they could not do the census. They did not even bother to acknowledge about OBC census. Now if we don't even know how many OBCs do we have, how are we going to reach out to those sections? How are we going to do justice to those sections? So these are some straightforward questions that this government has to answer. And if you are passing a bill now and telling the the women to wait for 5 more years, I do not think they are going to get the political benefit that they are thinking they will get out by introducing this bill. And it is simply and should not be about politics. It is ultimately should be what Honorable Amit Shah ji said. It should be about मान्यता जो respect women deserve करती है उनको देने का वक्त अभी तो आ गया है. The government should get practical and serious and sincere about it. That is what we can demand of them right now.
Well, in fact, Ms. Kavita, I was coming to the quota within quota issue because going through the Geeta Mukherjee Parliamentary Committee recommendation, which also made a point with regards to the fact that it is for the government to make that decision, and there was a growing chorus within the committee at that point in time that OBC reservation should be looked into it. You've already heard the discussion that took place on the floor of the parliament with regards to quota within quota. In fact, Union Home Minister Amit Shah has said that this is no lip service. As far as OBC reservation is concerned, their party has been at the forefront of it. So how do you really look at the arguments that have been put forth? Because for parties like the Samajwadi Party or for that matter RJD, it seems that there has been a change. But let's not forget, it is they who obstructed this for a very, very long time.
Well, everybody objected to women's bill at one point or the other. Yes, RJD, SP objected at a point, TMC objected at a point for various different reasons. BJP themselves have objected, quoting various different reasons, both in 2010 and before that. So everybody at some point or the other did have their own objections. But luckily, now I think everybody is on the same page, saying that if you can give the OBC quota, then everybody is happy about it. Even including, many parties on the floor of the House said the same thing. SP and SP also said the same thing. I heard Dimpleji speak on that. So my demand right now, and as you rightly said, Amit Shah ji said, we are in the forefront championing. But if the BJP is sincere and in forefront and championing, they should pass the OBC reservation bill, 33% OBC reservation bill. What is stopping them? Why did you call the special session of the parliament to tell women that yes, we are passing the bill, but you have to wait for another 5 years or another 10 years, and we don't know which government is going to come back then, and what if they are not able to deliver on the rest of the promises? What will happen to the implementation then? So why should we keep the women's future in hanging? If you are sincere, if you are making an effort, if you have taken a first step, might as well do it completely, right? Complete the whole process, give the women benefit that they deserve, and if you get a political benefit out of it, much better. It doesn't matter to the rest of the world. When it comes to women's issues, I believe whoever works for them, they'll get the credit. That's good. But women should get their due course is what I believe.
Can I then ask you, Ms. Kavita, in the current form, will the BRS go ahead and support the government as far as the women reservation bill is concerned? Or would you see that perhaps there could be a roadblock in it?
No, BRS always said whichever format you bring the women's bill, we will support, because just on the basis of not having certain bills, we will not as a policy oppose the women's bill. But yes, we are also demanding, because this government has the possibility, has the chance, has an opportunity, to deliver it because of their majority. They do not have any obligations to, any coalition partners or whatsoever. So they can deliver it. That is why BRS is demanding that please include the 33% OBC quota, which they can do it, but they are not doing it. That shows that this government lacks the will to empower the OBCs.
Well, two aspects that I would also like to touch upon, Ms. Kavita, is one, the credit war that is erupted, with the Congress leader Sonia Gandhi saying that ye to hamari bill thi. Adhiranjan Chaudhary targeting the government, saying that why did you not bring the same bill that was introduced in the Rajya Sabha during Manmohan Singh's time? And then finally you've had the criticism that you have also faced from leaders like Y.S. Sharbala, who said that why was this not introduced in Telangana itself? So both the aspects I want you to touch upon. One, the credit war. What is it that you will tell the opposition parties? Secondly, with regards to the criticism that you yourself have been facing while championing this cause.
Shavanji, basically, if Congress was sincere, They could have introduced a quota within quota and passed it then and there when they passed it in Rajya Sabha. They could not pull it off, and now Rahul Gandhi ji on the floor of the House is questioning the current government that why cannot you implement OBC, and he's quoting numbers. There is 1 or 2 employees out of 99 secretaries, etc. Well, virasat kahan se mila hai? Who ruled the country for the largest time? Who did not give OBCs their share? It was a Congress party. Now, just because elections are approaching, you want to talk sweet about OBCs? History is not going to forgive you. History is, in fact, never going to forgive you for forgetting to even mention women's reservation bill in your 2019 election manifesto. Women will never forgive you. And if they want to just give some sops and some, freebies, announce certain freebies to women and try to lure them to vote them, in this elections, it's not going to work for the Congress party. Two, Madam Sonia ji did her share of effort. She passed it in Rajya Sabha in 2010. But then again, she was in power for the next 4 years. Why could she not, or the Congress party not sincerely try and push it then? Now, if you want to claim that this bill is up now, fair enough. Try to claim the credit. Let the voters decide ultimately who get the credit. And Adhiranjan ji also knows why BJP is not bringing back the same bill, because there is an Anglo-Indian reservation mentioned in there, and Anglo-Indian seats have been done away with this by this BJP government. We all know their stand upon minority Christians and minorities, so that is no secret. But Congress just wants to take advantage, flare up certain issues. But who is losing in the process is the women of this nation. So my sincere demand, my sincere request to all the political parties, especially the ruling government, is please include the OBC quota. Please pass the 33% OBC reservation for general seats as well, for the whole of the parliament. Automatically it will reflect in the women's bill. And it is really high time that the OBCs get their share. We do not count, we are not even counting, taking their census. So it is high time we give them, empower them. And if this government is sincere, they should quickly add the 33% OBC quota. That is my request to the current government.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. K. Kavita. It's always a pleasure having you on Republic TV. You've put across your points, hoping that the government will take into consideration what you've been arguing all this while. But congratulations to you and women of this nation for finally being able to see the reservation that has been a long overdue. Well, joining us on the debate tonight, Charu Pragya, spokesperson of the BJP, Rami Desai and Renu Mittal. Straight away, beginning with you, Charu Pragya. Charu, you've heard the criticism that your government has been facing. The opposition parties, surprisingly, the Congress now says that why not look at the OBC reservation? OBCs should be getting that kind of a representation, which perhaps did not even figure in their own bill. But having said that, your government says we are right at the forefront for the OBC. But when it comes to this very aspect, various committees have said the government should be deciding. What is it that the government will be really looking at?
Shravan, good evening, and I wish all the citizens of my wonderful nation congratulations today. This was a historic bill passed on a historical day, the first one in our new parliament, and I couldn't be happier and I couldn't be more proud. To answer your question now, there are two parts to it. First of all, can you tell me, in the existing constitutional setup, are there any seats that are reserved for the OBC? No. Seats are reserved for the SC/ST category? Yes. But OBC? No. First thing. Second thing is that when Sonia ji spoke about this bill, when it was passed in Rajya Sabha, she herself said that this bill is not exhaustive. I mean, this is not a limit to women's participation in governance or in politics. Who is stopping you from giving tickets to OBC women or women of other backward classes or tribal women and so on and so forth, or even giving tickets to beyond 33%? Who is stopping you? So if your party believes in something, go ahead, please go and do it. But a provision that does not exist in the constitutional setup, a provision which does not exist in the existing system in which elections happen, why are you asking for it specifically for women? Why are you asking for it specifically for women? And the bill is very clear. 1/3 seats are reserved for women, and out of the seats which are reserved for the SC/ST category, 1/3 of those will also now be reserved for women. I think we cannot be clearer than this. We cannot be more simpler than this. And the whole hue and cry and debate around this OBC quota today, I think it does not make any sense at all. Because if you want to do that, then why don't you go at the very beginning and say, first let's start reserving seats for OBC in elections, which does not happen. So don't start a debate which does not exist. And if you're giving support to a bill, just say I support the bill and full stop. I support the bill, but does not sound like support to me. Of course, at the end of the day, I am glad the bill has been passed with such a thumping majority. I'm curious to know who those 2 MPs are who did not vote in favor of the bill.
Okay, Renu, you've heard it. Constitutional provisions aren't there. Some opposition parties were saying, why not bring in Muslim reservation too? I think it's amply clear as far as the constitution goes. And for those political parties who have been claiming that we have been protecting democracy and we are protecting our constitution, it only appears that they are filibustering on this entire matter.
Yeah, you see, let's start from where Sonia Gandhi started. She could very well have brought in OBC reservation at that time. She could have passed the bill with the support of the BJP. If we are talking about 2011, because BJP was willing to support this bill. So you passed it in the Rajya Sabha, but then you chickened out in the Lok Sabha because the Mandal parties were opposing it on the ground that you could not bring in OBC reservation, quota within quota and all. So why didn't you take the help of the BJP if you were so committed to women empowerment? And from 2011 till 2023, so much time is dragged by. Even Narendra Modi could have done this much earlier. But does he want to use it for election purposes? That's why it's coming at the fag end of his second tenure in power. So I blame both the Congress, Sonia Gandhi, as well as BJP and Prime Minister Modi for the kind of tactics that have been. There is no sincerity towards the cause of women. It's all politics. They're playing their own games. Rahul Gandhi yesterday in a tweet says that we are unconditionally supporting this this bill. And then then Sonia Gandhi brings in the OBC factor. They are supporting the bill, but she says OBC. Then why didn't you, when the Mandal parties and Sharad Yadav and all were shouting, why didn't you at that time accede to their demand and bring in a quota? If it could have been an exhaustive bill, you could have passed it with their support. Why did you chicken out? Because you see, primarily there is opposition to this bill from within the political parties, whether it be the BJP or the Congress or whatever, because the men are going to give up their seat and many more. That's why this issue of delimitation has come in. You're going to make 800 seats in Parliament, so that 400 MPs that are the men MPs will remain as 400 MPs. So the others, will be women. You don't want to give up the share of seats which the men in Parliament hold. That's why. And why are you linking it up with delimitation and why and all that? You just bring in a simple bill. Prime Minister Modi had a wonderful opportunity.
Renuji,
historic by bringing all power. I'll just finish in half a second. By bringing all parties on board, having a round table conference, asking what they wanted, and bringing in a very comprehensive bill which took care of all aspects. And why wait another 10 years? Maybe it will be another 100 years. Who knows? Delimitation can go on forever. After that, we are talking about 2029. I mean, the whole thing sounds so phony to me, I mean, it's something that you want to use in the election.
Can I come in,
मैं लेके आया women reservation.
No,
मैं pioneer था, मैं ये था. If you were so sincere, do it now.
Charu, respond quickly. Charu, respond before I go to Rami Desai. Charu, quickly respond.
It never.
Charu, quickly respond before we go to Rami Desai. Quickly.
So,
because there is a charge made against you. Quickly respond. She's saying she called the bill phony. She called the women's reservation bill phony. Renu Mittal called the women's reservation bill phony, Charu.
And I heard. And I
Yeah, I
heard her
did.
reasons, but tell me, Miss Mittal,
Go ahead.
who was it who was linking the CAA, NRC to the census and at the protest site of CAA spreading this misinformation and was fear-mongering and saying, अगर ये हो गया, अगर census हो गया, तो सबको देश के बाहर निकाल दिया जाएगा. Who were the political parties which were supporting this? Who were the political parties that actually became
don't go off
so
tangent.
troublesome
Speak
when
on the
this
bill.
census process was started?
Speak on the bill.
No, do not. No,
No.
this is not off tangent. I
You
am
are-
speaking on the
you are
bill only.
going off tangent.
I am speaking
You
on
are
the
going
bill
Okay,
only. The
understood.
census would
Charu,
have been
pull
out.
back.
Okay, I do
Renu
not have
Mittal,
the
pull
habit
back.
of
Essentially,
engaging
there are
like this.
some procedures
I
involved.
still have a point.
Some procedures involved.
One
There is
second, one
Article
second.
82.
Shravan,
It was
one more
explained
point to
by
make.
Law Minister
While the
Arjun
census
Ram
was
Meghwal
happening,
why we need the delimitation exercise. Also, Renu Mittal, remember, pull back. Both sides pull back. Renu
Why
Mittal
do we
also
need it?
remember that we are talking about a proportion.
Shravan, you
So
have to
if there are
request your
500
panelists to not
MPs,
speak over
one
me.
third get reserved for women. If there are 800 MPs, accordingly one third get reserved. So the proportion in terms of women's strength in the House
Absolutely.
remains same. That is the objective of the bill and that has been achieved. Rami Niranjan Desai, I have to come to you. You know, a question that has been sort of ringing in my mind. Okay, now Renu Mittal pull back. Rami has to come in. You know, I was just looking at this dichotomy that Thirimavo Bandar Naike of Sri Lanka, Indira Gandhi of India, Benazir Bhutto of Pakistan, Sheikh Hasina, Khalid Zia of Bangladesh, conservative societies, yet women becoming the most powerful leaders of their respective countries. Golda Meir in Israel, again a very conservative society, early on in 1960s becoming prime minister. If you look at the three women prime ministers of the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher, Theresa May, Liz Truss, all from the conservative background, not from Labour. So I think this dichotomy that we have been a conservative society, yet at some level women have been powerful. But then what this does is it democratizes it even further. And you don't need to have a particular background, Rami Desai, now to become a woman leader, right?
Good evening. Absolutely. Well said. You know, you don't need to have a particular background. You know, what really at the outset fascinates me is the kind of politicization of this bill. You know, this is a women's reservation bill. I don't think it should be politicized, especially by the amount of women I've seen speaking, nitpicking on this bill. The fact that this bill has been passed, albeit, you know, without two votes, and I think an educated guess would tell us that where those two votes came from, maybe the same people who objected to triple talaq. But having said that, you know, the fact that it's been politicized really tells me that the opposition in this country or the Modi betas in this country, you know, oppose for the sake of opposing, not because it's a women's bill, not because that they want OBC reservation, not because, you know, they want Muslim women's reservation, but because the BJP is bringing it. And I think that sort of negative politicking, you know, is completely unnecessary at this point because, you know, you want other things added, let the bill be passed. You know, that's exactly what the Home Minister said. Let the bill at least be passed and then, you know, you can come out and say whatever you want to. Let 2000, you know, let another 10 years pass, you know, see if the census happens, see if the delimitation happens. I think that's already been made clear in the Parliament that it is going to happen. The Home Minister himself said that, you know, post-elections it will happen. The fact that we had COVID going on, you know, these are the kind of things that any logical mind would be able to calculate. But because this bill is being brought in by a very popular Prime Minister, and mind you, this is a Prime Minister that appeals to the women of this country, and there is no reason for us to have any sort of doubt in our minds.
Right.
And I think largely the women of India don't have a doubt on Prime Minister Modi, considering the kind of initiatives that he has taken. And yes, he should take the credit for it because those initiatives he has taken, you know, and has made them successful because of his popularity. So I think, you know, we have to take all of this into consideration before saying, oh, you know, we don't have OBC reservation, which also, again, by the way, has been made clear by the Home Minister that the OBC reservation comes under the gender category. Therefore, you know, this is really not an argument to be brought in. So, you know, my limited point here is it's not about a conservative society, not a conservative society. This is about having a level playing field. And that level playing field has been given today, and we should accept it with at least some measure of grace, which I don't think we have done so.
Well, thank you very much, Charupragya, Rami Desai and Renu Mittal. In fact, there's one more day to go and one that's brought into the Rajya Sabha. I think so. Perhaps the celebration can still continue. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us on the debate. On the other side, let's just take a 30-second secure break with Secretary. On the other side, we'll get you the last debate within 30 seconds.
ಜನ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಚಾನೆಲ್ಸ್ ನೋಡೋದು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸತ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ದೂರವಾದಂಥ ಸುದ್ದಿಗಳು, ಸುಳ್ಳೇ ವಿಜೃಂಭಿಸುವಂಥ ಸುದ್ದಿಗಳು, ಗಂಡ ಹೆಂಡಿರ ಜಗಳ, ಸಮಾಜದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀರುವಂಥ ಸುದ್ದಿಗಳು, ವೈರಲ್ ಸುದ್ದಿ, ಜ್ಯೋತಿಷ್ಯ, ಎಂಟರ್ಟೈನ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಸುದ್ದಿ ಅಲ್ರಪ್ಪ, ಮತ್ತ್ಯಾಕೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಸುದ್ದಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ